Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Queer Vision podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Becca. Today, Chloe and I sat down with Thigh Fieri. He is a drag performer, and you definitely will not want to miss this episode. We had a lot of really good conversations, and he's just hilarious. So enjoy.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you. I'm sorry I did not mug up for you. I'm very
You're so
sleepy
funny.
boys today.
This is one of the rare times that I actually did get in a mug, so that's okay.
Well, hello.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of
I'll go
course.
ahead and just introduce us for the podcast. So I am Coe of Kanekalon. This is the co-founder of Carolina.
I'm Becca.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And we're here today with Thigh Fieri.
Hello.
Thank you so much for sitting down. I'm so excited to because I feel like even though we've been working together and talking back and forth, there's still a lot that I don't know about you. So I'm excited to dive in and just learn more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. What you got?
So usually the way that we kind of do this is we just have a conversation. We just sit down and chit chat and whatever flows.
Cool deal.
So I guess to start out, just give the viewers just a little bit of the blurb of who Thigh is.
Thigh tries to be like everyone's guy, he's kind of campy, a little bit outlandish, but could maybe be like your weird next door neighbor. Who knows? Thigh is boisterous and does not give a damn. Thigh's just there to have a good time and vibe. Enjoy the beauty around. I don't know.
Right.
I'm yammering now.
No. I love that about you. I could feel, I don't know, it just feels like you really enjoy art and drag and just life in general from the little bit of interactions that I've had with you. And I really appreciate that because it shows and it's really
Thank
easy,
you.
Of course. You know
I
how it's
try.
sorry, I think there was a little bit of a lag. No, you're good. You're good. I just wanted you to know. So if I was talking over you, but yeah, I don't know. It's so easy. I feel like in the drag community, especially, and just in creative fields, to get so wrapped up in, status or this, that, and the third. And I feel like you do a really good job at not being in that as much. I don't know what's that journey been like for you per se, but
Yeah, my drag journey has been very interesting. Right after COVID, I was on a Bumble date and we went to a drag brunch together, and their photographer called out last minute. So I was I just overheard the conversation. I was like, "Oh, I can take pictures if you need." And so that was kind of my first official involvement in the drag scene. But I grew up in Gastonia, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte.
yeah.
And the moment I turned 18, I was at Scorpio's watching the drag shows. I would go there for the show and dance a little bit after and then go home. That's what I was there for, was to see the queens. So I've always as soon as I could go experience drag, I fell in love with it instantly. So going back to the photographer story. So I did a couple more shows for them. And then life kind of blew up for me personally for a little bit. And at some point, I saw that ETC in Greensboro, where I now host a monthly show at, they were made a post looking for performers, blah 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 blah, and no experience, message us. And I was kind of like, fuck it. So I was like, hey, I want to do that. And I did theater all through my K-12. So I come from a very theatrical background. My mom is a hobbyist seamstress quilter. I know a lot about DIY, making my own clothes, making stuff. I grew up with a sewing machine. I grew up in theater. I grew up wanting to be the person in charge and leading everybody around.
Yeah.
That's just my personality. I realize that like I'm crazy when it comes to shows sometimes, and I'll tell people like I'm crazy and I'm sorry. I have a plan, just trust it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my debut. They were like, "We have a show in 2 weeks. Is that too soon?" And I was like, "Nope, no, it's now or never." That was a year. I had a very toxic like engagement. And after me and my ex fiance broke up, I was like, I haven't been allowed to like do anything. I haven't been allowed to like go out and like live my life. And like my 20s are gone. So like when I turned I can't remember if I was 29 or 30. I think when I turned 29, like going into my 30th year, I was like, I'm gonna do one thing every month that scares the shit out of me. And that was like my New Year's resolution. And so like that very first opportunity, that was January of that year, um, that I became a drag king. So that's my very long, condensed, rambly story.
No, I love. When? How long have you been doing drag?
I'm
Yeah.
in my third year.
Okay, work.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Man.
Thigh was born January 16th of 2022. Is that right? Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm in my third year now.
It really is like
Yeah.
all about that like ambition and stuff. I don't know. I feel like that's a big piece that a lot of people, I don't know, fail to realize sometimes. Like I feel like I don't know. I think sometimes people wait to be chosen, instead of just choosing themselves and doing the thing and like taking every little opportunity. And especially in
Yeah.
drag, like I feel like that's so necessary. I mean, there's obviously a balance. Like you don't want to overdo it, and I've definitely been there. But
Right.
just like getting out there and doing it, and like I've always been that type of person too. It's like, okay, I'll figure it out in a week. Give me like 2 days. I'll figure something
Yeah.
out. And
Yeah.
if
I'm
I
good on the
fumble a little
fly.
bit, yeah. And then if I fumble a
Exactly.
little bit, I'll figure it out.
Right. And of course, the lawn care people come right now. Can you hear this?
Very faintly.
Okay. If you hear some loud noises at my window, they're coming for me. I was gonna say I figured out like really quick in my first year that like nobody's gonna book you if nobody knows who the fuck you are.
That part.
So I did that my debut here in Greensboro, and then like the next weekend I was at Ruby Deluxe doing Glitter Hour.
Mhm.
Like I was instantly like, I'm in this. Like I want to keep doing this. And like my first year, I lost so much money doing drag because I was going to every open stage I could do. I was like reaching out and doing every tip spot I could do, every competition that I could apply for. I was here, there, and everywhere. Like I hustled hard, and it definitely helped me a lot in learning, like meeting the community, learning how to like establish a place in a respectful manner. You have to earn that shit. And I feel like I've worked hard and like have tried to make a good reputation for myself. So now I'm at a point where I can like focus on my own thing a little bit more and be a little bit more mindful of like who and where I go and see and do. Um, it's hard work, but once you put in that hard work, it slowly pays off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would agree, and I feel like for anybody listening to that like wants to get into drag, I think that you can take the slower route, but I do think like if you want to like really really focus on it, honestly, as much as it does kind of suck that it is that way, like you
Hmm.
said, doing the open shows, taking every tip spot you can get, just being in rooms with people, going out to support other people at their shows, like
Yeah.
those things I've found really do matter a lot. And
Hmm.
like also it just helps build the community as a whole and helps you find friends in the
Right.
community.
Like tip kitten, work the door,
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's
So
all part of it.
yeah, exactly. And I'm very much one of those people too that I'm not above any spot in the drag community. And I
Right.
feel like everybody's like I feel like of course like we earn like spaces and being able to like, produce and do things like that. But at the same time I also am like a firm believer that I don't know, like we can all do really whatever we want to do, at
Right.
the end of the day.
Right.
So
We're all in this together, and like I'm just happy to be involved.
no, bro. That's what I'm like. The point I was trying to make is I would tip kitten, I will work a door, I'll do whatever because I love drag. So like,
Right, exactly.
that's my thing.
That honestly transitions outside of drag too, because like I'm not in the drag scene. Like I've never performed like that, anything like that. But like hearing you guys talk, I'm just like, yeah. I mean, like that's kind of how you have to just approach life. Like you just have to realize, like you're an adult, you can eat ice cream for breakfast if you want to. Like this is the first time you get to live. The rules are all arbitrary. Yeah, okay, there's some consequences for some of them, but like
Yeah.
everything is your choice, and that's why like whenever you were saying you took like a full year and you're just like, I'm gonna do something a month that terrifies me, like that is like I tried doing that for like 3 days and I was like so like what were some of your favorite things that you learned about yourself or that you got to enjoy because you did that other than drag? Obviously we know that's one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, um, I went rock climbing. I went skydiving. No, I didn't. I buzzed my head. It got me back into myself. Like I said, I had like a really toxic relationship that like I felt like I couldn't like go out and enjoy myself and do things, and like I always had to be home and I always had to do this and that. And at that point in my life, like I wanted to start drag and my partner was like, "Oh, you wouldn't be good at that. You shouldn't do that." So it was just like all of this years of like pent up wasted youth that just like needed to come out. That inner child needed that and needed to like step out of that comfort zone. And I just like I felt super lost and just needed to find myself again. And I didn't have anything in my life that was truly for me. um and like for my enjoyment, like I love making art, but I'm also one of those people that's like I want to share what I'm doing with other people. I don't want it to like just be for me. How can I do something in a way that like gives back in a way, even if it's just like dressing up and being fucking stupid and making someone laugh when they've had a shitty day, for me. So yeah, it just taught me a lot about my personal boundaries and that I'm a tough bitch and I can take it. And I like to challenge myself and give myself something to do, something to keep my hands busy and keep my mind busy. Yeah,
I think I was listening to a bit of a podcast this morning and someone was like interviewing Mel Robbins. I don't know if you've ever heard of her.
possibly. I'm like,
Um,
if I saw her face,
She's
I'll
like a
look her
very
up after this.
raspy, like New York accent. But she has a lot of really interesting takes about like, I don't know, like self-love and like
Yeah.
just I don't know, like self-growth. And she was talking about how one of the biggest things to do when you feel so lost or like you don't know really where you're at is doing new things and like learning a new skill, learning a new task or something like that. My brain does not work.
Mhm. Yeah.
But so that's really powerful.
I wanted to broaden my horizons and meet other queer people outside of, my small bubble that I love my small bubble. I still have my small bubble behind me, supporting me in all of this. But I've met some of the greatest people through drag. I've also met some of the worst people through drag,
Real.
but we won't get into that today. That's another podcast. Ma'am. But I'm very grateful for relationships made, friends made, and just like seeing all these amazing, cool queer people doing things in their local communities and showing up in a time where like nobody wants to see us.
Yeah.
Like I had an opportunity like a year or two ago to move to Seattle, and as much as I really really wanted to go and be in a place where like I'm not the minority as a queer person, like I decided to stay because I was finally in a place where like my voice in the community was being heard and I was starting to like earn my footprint. So I wanted to stay and work in my community and continue like finding our local queers and giving our local queers a place. So like it's just drag has been more important to me as far as like community building than anything else. Like I'm such an awkward person in real life. Like if I'm at like a big event, I'm like probably disassociating in a corner. If there's a big conversation bubble of people, like I am just like on the edge, like
Me.
that's how I feel on the inside. I'm just What do I do with my hands? So, like, there's very much like I'm on or I'm off. And I'm sorry if you catch me when I'm off because I'm not trying to be.
Yeah.
I'm just overstimulated. I lost where I was going with that. But
I also lost what I was going to say. Did you have something?
I can ask something.
Word.
So,
Because I was like, I had something too in it.
so we know that you do drag, and that is like a large part of what we know about you. What do you do outside of drag? Like, what hobbies do you have? What's your day job? What's your favorite thing about life? Any of that?
Comfortable.
well, first off, I'll introduce you to my child. This is Pippin. She's over here like begging for attention. She's
So cute.
11 years old, but she's just a baby. She's very sweet. So I currently, I just got a new job. I was unexpectedly unemployed for 5 to 6 weeks when I had to get a follow-up surgery from my top surgery. So I was working in luxury fragrance, and now I am a floor leader at Lush. So
We love
lots of smell goods.
Mhm.
And it's nice to be in like a safe, inclusive workspace. So far so good. It's only been a week, but so like maybe ask me in a month or so. But I'm just kidding. So far it's been really, really nice. So I do that. I also do a lot of like a lot of gig work. I'm big into like I'm like a little errand boy. I'll do your garden. I'll dog watch. Whatever you need, what you got. I got you, you know. So I just like being included. I just like being involved. So, you know, I spend a lot of my time worrying about my other clients that I have, and what like just, you know, my personal little gig clients. But yeah. I have been really into playing Ghost of Tsushima on PS5 recently. I'm just about done with it.
My partner loves.
I'm an easy guy. I'm a simple man. I don't need much.
I was gonna say, sorry, I was trying to let my thought come back to me. What I would, oh my God, why is it wanting to fight me today? I don't know what is happening. It doesn't want me to talk about it for some reason. What I was gonna say is, through circling back to your point about, like wanting to stay here and wanting to stay in the South to like make that footprint and like make that difference. You know, that's part of the reason like one started Queer Atlanta, but one of the reasons that I even decided to like stay, because I definitely was, you know, I feel like as most trans and queer people really were right after this election, was terrified. And I was like, oh, like, where can I go that has safe trans rights? Like looking up all these different countries, this, that, and the other. Then I got to the point where I was like, you know what? Like, as scary as it is, I'm in a pretty decent place. I've got good people around me. I, you know, have found some community. And why leave now when there's like people that can't leave? And that's not to say that that's everybody's journey, because everybody should do what's best for them, you know? But I do think there's a lot of power in being able to be like, you know what? I want to stay here and I want to try to make the change that I want to be and being more visible, which isn't always easy either. Which kind of leads me to a question I was going to ask is like, for me in this like era of like, I don't know, the way the world is, sometimes I find myself so over examining the perception of other people onto me. And I don't know if I was just curious if that's something that you've encountered like through transness, through queerness, if you feel like, you know, other people's perception of you is something that you really think of or not, I guess.
Not as much now, especially like since I've had like the blessing of getting top surgery, you know, I could probably pass if I wanted to. Even though like at the end of the day that's not my goal. I tried to be visibly queer when I can. But when I started transitioning, I was in management positions in like big box corporate stores, and I was like getting harassed by customers. I've had a woman accuse me of personally trying to brainwash the children of Greensboro because the toddler clothing is unisex sizes.
That's crazy.
Girl, that's a potato with legs. Do you want pink or blue? Good night. I can't make this shit up. You know? I've had people like, and I'm like on the clock, and I've had people come up to me, like grown ass people come up to me, like, are you a man or a woman? And I'm just like, that's a personal question.
Yeah.
Can I help you find some pants? Like,
Yeah. Well,
I so like there's definitely been areas of concern, and even like I feel like my biggest fear is like my parents, like they're very supportive in a lot of things, but they don't know I do drag. And so don't tell them, it's a secret.
please don't worry.
Um, and I made that personal decision because it, like I said previously, it is the one thing that I have for me. And I spent so much of my young life in a performative state for them
Mm.
and like doing what I think that they would want me to do. And I feel like even though like my mom would probably be supportive, my dad would probably be whatever. My mom would support, but in a way that would just like suffocate me and burn me out.
I get that.
Um like just like sending me junk that I don't need. Like I just see it, and like if she came out to a show, I wouldn't feel comfortable and like being in my character. Like I don't know. I'm like super super shy around my family. Also, they don't know that I've had top surgery either. So I try to I don't know what it is. I have that like internalized fear that like one day it's gonna be too much for them. So like that is like the hardest thing I think for me personally. I've seen so many people lose their families, and that's just like that's a huge fear. Trauma dump. But no, I think that's more than the public eye. It's the ones that are close to me that I care about their opinion the most.
Thankfully, I've been really grateful to like my family is kind of estranged for other reasons.
Hmm.
Thankfully, like the queerness has never been much of a question, at least on my mom's side. And I don't know, it's good to reflect on that and be like, okay, grateful that I have that, but I also just can't imagine how that must be. And I don't know. I'm trying to not be like, oh, I pity, but like, I hate that you have
It's
to go through.
it's like between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Like I'm grateful that I have my family and I'm grateful that I have their support. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I've spent so much of my life living for other people's expectations of me. So, and I'm done with that. So it's just kind of like a boundary that I need to have with myself. And that I'm like they don't have to know everything. Like
Yeah, exactly.
I'm safe, I'm alive, I'm happy.
Yeah. And sometimes like, that's the best thing to do. Like, I mean, I've even had to distance myself from my family for other reasons. And I think that it can be really healthy. Like sometimes they don't need to know everything.
I did like the way that you phrased that too, where it was like you specifically said that you've performed for them most of your life and you acted the way you thought that they would expect you to. You like and I find that interesting because like I don't know your family, obviously. I don't know if they actually do expect you to act these ways or if like that's something that you're just putting on them because it's what you think that they're expecting.
Hmm.
But I think like as queer people, we do that a lot. And honestly, neurodivergent people do that as well, where it's like, okay, I think you're thinking this thing of me, so I need to act this specific way so that you aren't uncomfortable and like not living the way that we want to be comfortable because it could possibly impact somebody else. And now obviously I know like there are the differences where it's like it could also impact me later if it makes you so uncomfortable you decide that I'm not worthy of like love and affection.
Right.
That it's obviously like a difference, but like I don't know. It was just the way you phrased it got me a little bit because I think we do get in our heads so much about what other people think of us. So, like on your daily, is this just something that like, you experience with your family, or is this something that you experience with like people you meet every day? Is this like the external expectation of specific ways that you need to act?
It's definitely gotten better over time. Um And every day, no. I'm at a point now where like I'm comfortable with myself and like presenting however way I am to the public, to my coworkers, to whatever. Quite frankly, it's nobody else's business. And the chances of me seeing another random stranger in the street again, they see me or whatever, is it that deep? Are you gonna let it like affect you that bad?
Yeah.
That's a personal issue on their end at that point.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do to help anybody else's perspective. It's just I'm at a point where like I'm too old for that bullshit and I'm too old to shrink myself anymore.
Yeah.
I spent so long doing that, and take it or leave it,
Yeah.
you know?
Really does, I think, come with time. And I think, especially just like, I don't know, as queer people and as like trans people, especially, like, I feel like it's really easy to fall into expectations of like who you're supposed to be. And I think deconditioning that is something that kind of happens with most trans people over time. And it's such a powerful and hard experience, but like once you get to kind of the light at the end of the tunnel, I feel like it's worth it. So.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it kind of feels like that, like, what do you want to be when you grow up kind of question. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what the fuck I'm having for lunch tomorrow.
No, for real.
You know, like, I don't even know if we're going to be here 5 years from now. You know, I'm just living day by day.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best. And that's all that any of us can ask each other to do.
Exactly.
So you said that you prefer to act queer rather than to try to pass as like a cis man. What ways do you go about that, and why do you feel like you go about that?
I mean, definitely in the way I dress, I think. And just like I feel like my mannerisms and everything like that. Like I identify as like a little gay bear boy, bisexual baby, you know? And I forgot what the question was.
Why
I started thinking about hairy boys.
Distracting.
The other question was, why do you feel like you'd prefer to be seen as more queer than to pass as a straight or like as a cis?
Oh, like bear in the woods all day. I don't want anybody to ever assume that I am straight or cis. You know, I want people to feel safe around me, and I want to feel approachable. And like in my workplace currently, like everyone is AFAB. And like I am the butch, and I delicious. I love it. I love my masculinity because it makes me feel secure and it makes me feel safe and it makes me feel like I can keep other people safe. Not saying that femininity is weak at all. Before I transitioned, I was super, super high femme. Like full beat every day, like crazy style. I'll have to show y'all pictures. It's crazy.
That I feel like that's such a common experience though, to like when you're
Yeah.
trying to figure it out, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go all the way the other way because that's the only way like I know.
Yeah, it's a costume. It's performative. Um, and like there were times where like I felt powerful in my femininity, and I still am like in touch with my like softer feminine side, but like I will put on like a tough boy front like when I need to. Like I will go, I want to say bulldog mode, but I know I'm definitely more leaning towards like rabid chihuahua. But like, but in my head, I'm like a vicious pit bull. I'm very protective of my people and my community, and I will put on that masculine front to do that. And I like having the privilege that I can do that for those purposes. So there you go.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, one, just being visible, you know, is so important and like being able to be that safe space, but also just, oh my God, I don't know why this is happening to me today. The ADHD is going crazy. It literally is going crazy. I love like the amount of thoughts that are just like, poof. I don't know. That's powerful. There was something else I was going to say and she's gone.
I got you.
She'll come back.
I think it's nice too to hear you say that there's like strength in both, because I feel like trans people have like the innate, like you've experienced it both ways, right? Like you've experienced what it is to be feminine, you've experienced what it's like to be masculine, right? And you see the strength in both. And I feel like it's important for our society to see that. I think that's why trans people are seen as like the scapegoat of the queer family, because they do prove, like you guys just prove that like the dichotomy of gender is pointless. Like there is no reason to be against men or against women other than like, you know, individual actions. Like we all have our own strengths, and we need to sometimes, like, I'm a cis woman, I'm mostly feminine, let's be honest, but like at the same time, like sometimes I do have to be like more masculine, more aggressive to save myself, to protect myself, right? And I think like a lot of like cis men in our society struggle with themselves because they are unwilling to be seen as gay or seen as like weak or whatever, and they're not willing to step into that femininity to protect themselves and be vulnerable in the strength that is feminine strength. And so like this, it's like every single conversation we have, I just like pull it all together because it just feels so like it's so important to see the connections. And like you saying that, I was just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, like my femininity gives me my emotional strength.
Yeah.
And I
And
think
has taught me. to like stand, like I need to stand my ground. I need to speak up when I need to and not take bullshit, you know?
And be nurturing. I think that's one of the biggest things. Like you being so caring and so wanting to see other people succeed is more of like a feminine trait, but like such a strong one. And then like you have the I want to protect everybody that I'm near, that is that such like masculine, like
Yeah.
I love it.
That's what I was actually going to say that kind of left me, was just like echoing that dichotomy of like finding masculinity and femininity. And even in my own experience, like has been something, as someone who identifies a little bit more gender fluid, I would say, um, has been like complicated for me. But I'm also like finally starting to get to the point where I'm comfortable being like, okay, like sometimes I'm not gonna pass, and like I don't really care. Because one of the things when I first started transitioning and like actually got on hormones and was like, I really tried to put myself in that female box so hardcore that I was like, oh, I gotta do the voice change. Everything needs to be shaved every single second in every single place. Like I need to be so like, yeah, on every single dot. And it's exhausting, honestly, in my opinion. I think trying to fit yourself in that box, and it works for some people. For me, it never has been. And I think the more that we try to fit ourselves in those boxes and think about that so much, we lose the joy of like what being trans really is, and lose like that experience. Because if you're always thinking about, oh, this person's about to clock me, or this person's about to do this or that or the other, it's really hard to like find that joy, which also sucks because we're in the world that we're in and we're in the time that we're in. So it's kind of hard. Like that's easier said than done, but that's something that I'm like personally working on within myself. So it's just nice to hear you speak about it.
I think that's honestly the point. I think that's like the whole point of expecting people to fit in these specific gender roles is to ruin our happiness. Like our happiness, like queer happiness, trans happiness, like feminine empowerment happiness, like all of that is literally just the only way that we can survive as a united front. That's the only thing that we can do as like a rebellion to what people are doing to us right now. So like the fact that you guys are just so happy in your fluidness, in whatever level you are that day of masculine, feminine, whatever, like the intertwining of it all, and just saying to shit with those boxes, like somebody else gave me those, they're not mine. That is like the most powerful thing you can do.
And I think it's really just, I think it's a serious thing we're going through in society as well right now. It's like having to confront that and having to, because even in like cis culture, I mean, I know that there's a lot of cis people that are exhausted. I mean, they have to be. Like, I cannot, you cannot convince me that half of the super mask bro culture, whatever, those kind of men, like, I know some of them deep down are like, oh, I hate this shit. Like, I hate that every day I'm having to like act like I'm so tough and strong and all this stuff.
They just
So.
need to be
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Which, how has that been like through your trans journey? Like, do you feel like the pressure to like always be kind of that like strong figure? Or do you feel like you have like a good hold on that now? Like you were kind of saying, embracing
I
both?
feel like now I have a good hold on it. When I was like first starting my transition, being non-binary, never like I've never identified as a trans man. I identify as trans mask. I don't want to be perceived as a man. I don't want to be like, just the stigma is awful. I can think back to, this is gonna age me. 2011, I'm a freshman in college, and like this is the first time I'm like really like questioning my gender, and like I remember like saying to my friend, like I identify with femininity and I identify with masculinity, but I don't identify with like male or female. And she's like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
2011.
Sounds right.
And like I didn't have the word for it, so like I was just like butch tomboy for a little bit. I had like my 20s. It's like I was a butch carpenter welder, and then I dropped out of college and I went to beauty school, and then I was a femme beautician, and like the back and forth until I finally figured myself out really was COVID. When I was finally able to like stop painting on a face every day, and like finally taking a minute to like really look at myself in the mirror and like find comfort in like I've always had facial hair. Like I'm not going anywhere. I don't need to shave my face, letting that grow out a little bit, and like starting to see the androgyny. And that's like when it kind of like clicked that like I wanted to transition. I identified as non-binary, but I was like she they at the time, and that's like, yeah, when I really had just like some goddamn peace and quiet.
Mhm.
Because I was furloughed for a couple of months when everything started. That's kind of when it like really set in for me, and that's when shortly after all of that was when my toxic engagement broke up, and she moved out, and I started figuring out the me that I am today.
Yeah. And you said that was like right around 30, like when you turned 30?
Yeah, I was like 29.
Come on, Saturn
So
return.
yeah,
Sorry, astrology.
no. This Scorpio full moon, okay?
No, tell me about
It's a
it's fucking
time for
crazy.
cleansing.
Definitely has been. What is your big three, if you don't mind me asking, if you
I'm
know?
a Sagittarius sun and moon with
Word.
an Aquarius rising.
Okay. I can see that.
Hmm
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense from what you say.
I is a Capricorn.
Word. Yeah.
But so yeah, I'm just a hot mess basically. A hot mess with legs, horse legs.
I cannot. Yeah. I do you have a lot of earth signs in your chart? Do
I
you
have a
know?
lot of Capricorn in my
Yeah,
chart.
work. Period.
Like pretty much everything else in my chart is Capricorn.
Oh, that's crazy.
Right? So like all of that is like, what are you doing? And my big three is just like
Mood.
Can we just take that clip right
That
there? That's all I need.
and that's the cover
Yep.
for the podcast episode.
That
But no,
laugh.
I definitely get my organizational skills from all of my cat placements. And my Mars is Cancer. So if you hurt my feelings, I will cry. But other than that, I'm great.
My Mars is Aries, so scary.
Oh God. So
I have a lot of Aries in my chart. It's a lot of fire.
I only really know my top three. Wait,
my
what's my
boyfriend
Mars?
is an Aries, and our love language is just bullying the fuck out of each other.
My partner's also a Sag, so felt
My Mars is in
Name a better duo. You can't.
bro. Your
My Mars is in Cancer. That's why I cry so
your
much.
Mars is in Cancer too.
I do cry a lot.
Testosterone makes it really hard to cry. So like
I've heard
you
that.
just like feel the pressure. You're just like, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I wonder like what the artificial versus like the ones that are naturally in our bodies, like how different they are. Because like I wonder if that does explain why like a lot of cis men don't cry as easily or like
Well, no, I think
Believe
like
it.
there's some things about gender that I often, as someone who is like in between and like, been more like non-binary, gender fluid, that I always was like, I don't know that these differences are real. And like, then I got on hormones and I was like, okay, maybe some of these things are true.
Yeah.
Because why am I crying in the middle of Sam's Club right now? I don't
Well,
know.
I've heard that like the female cycle is like 28 days, but then the masculine cycle is like 24 hours. So like that explains why like energy goes up and down like this for like cis men especially. Like they're like, oh, I'm peaking in the middle of the day, and then like cis women are like, the fuck, I'm tired for 3 weeks. Like
Yeah, I got really into napping after starting. I don't know if that's my fees or testosterone.
your 30s.
Oh,
I
Thanks.
can agree. Yes, no,
Clock.
I agree. Every single day, I need a fucking nap. Like, there's no, I can't survive without one.
Yeah. Yeah. My new job is really impeding on my nap schedule and I don't like it.
No, get rid of it. You don't need a job. You need naps more.
Right. Right. Like those sleep study people, study me, pay me, choose me.
I've honestly been signing up for so many of them. Though, okay, wait, this like brings me to a whole thing that I like realized that like not many people knew. And I realized it like, cause like, okay, my uncle, he is in like the medical field. And so whenever I have questions about stuff, I usually talk to him. I found out literally this weekend that he didn't even know that like women were not required to be in medical studies until like the 90s. Okay. And so then I got to thinking about it and I was like, I can almost guarantee you if like women were just now required to be in it, I can guarantee you people on hormones are not required to be in it like now. And so like I was thinking about like the differences and like I've had just like questions that I know we don't have answers to. Like, so you know that like when men have heart attacks, it presents different than women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that because of hormones or is that because of like our bodies are traditionally skinny or something? I don't know. And so like I was trying to figure this all out and like I don't know. I wanted to bend your guys' ear about medical stuff to see like if you guys had any thoughts about like the implementation of like testing people that have been on different hormones or like the differences with like intersex. I know that has to have like some differences whenever it comes to medical versus like what we actually study.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, thoughts?
We're just one big science experiment, you know? Like being trans is all about fucking around and finding out.
Yeah.
Trial and error. And like we don't have the statistics on the long-term effects of hormones. We don't, you know, like there's such a small handful of queer elders that have had hormones and like there's not enough data. So like whenever I go to Planned Parenthood for my hormones, like there was one point where, you know, I was like, okay, I'm starting to look like a little too man-ish. What if I like do my T-shot every other week and or like every 10 days? And my doctor was like, if it feels okay, you know, as long as you don't feel like shit, then like I guess, you know.
Really is what it feels like. That's the same that I've gotten.
So it's just like being like constantly monitoring ourselves and making sure it's good. And like I really should be keeping a little journal because I forget my shots a lot. I've been trying to be more on it, but I think I'm also allergic to my testosterone. So there's also that, you know. Went to Planned Parenthood yesterday and they're putting in a new prescription for me to try. So fingers crossed.
Okay, I was gonna say artificial so they should have different versions, but should and do is two different things.
Yeah. So fingers crossed that insurance will help me with that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's in the fucking insurance, you know? Like I'm paranoid that I'm gonna get like a huge ass bill from top surgery of like reverted policy or something, some bullshit, you know? I mean, they're not getting paid either way, but no, I like the bit I had to pay is done. Like we had that fundraiser for me and like that's paid for. But like anything else, we ain't doing all that.
Yeah.
Like we had an agreement here. So yeah, it's the medicalness of transness is a whole bunch of gloppity goo.
Again with the goo.
Us listen.
What is it with gay people and
it's
goo?
not I think it's like the queer neurodivergence and goo. As one, I feel like, yeah.
It's just so encapsulating.
Because we also had a conversation. You know, Coupe DeVille Hugh?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So when we interviewed the Hughes, he also had this whole story about the goo and like eggs, like how doing drag for the first time is a carton of eggs falling on the ground, and then you have to scoop up and love your goo. And you know, I got it, and I stand by it.
Coupe de goo Hugh.
I need to clip it.
Clip it, tag him. No, I love that kid.
Yeah.
Vermilion was like one of my very first drag friends that I made. Yes, we were in Glitter Hour together, and like we were the first two bitches there. We were like an hour early before everybody else, so we just like kikied. So I love the Hughes. They're good people.
Yeah. As we're like almost to the hour mark, I did want to ask if there was anything that you wanted to touch on or wanted to say, promote.
This will be coming out in June.
Yeah.
What? Oh, coming out in June. Okay. Hope you liked the battle for Connecticut.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out. That was so cool of us to do. Let's see. The Grove is my monthly show that I host in Greensboro, and it is the last Saturday of every month. We alternate, and by we I mean me. I mean me. I do this all the time. I contain multitudes. And I alternate between like a regular book drag show and open stage. So we'll have open stage July 26th. The sign up for that will drop June 29th. So if you want to sign up, no experience required, come out, have fun.
Okay.
Be nice to queer people.
And I can say I really like the Grove stage. I like the Grove in general, but like after being there, like I don't know. Anybody listening that's like, oh, I don't know what this venue's like, go. Like, I don't know. I just really enjoy the vibe.
The vibe is immaculate. You're gonna drive up and like feel like you're gonna get like murked in the street. Like you don't know what's about to happen.
But when
you feel like you're in the wrong location, but like that's when you know you're in the right place.
Exactly.
Once you get inside, it's wholesome, it's magical. Everyone's hot. and like the vibes are just immaculate. BYOB and don't be an ass.
Period.
It's a great
Also,
spot.
it is. Our other co-host that's usually here but is not here today has some food questions that she normally has us ask because she is a chef. One day we're gonna have a little mukbang, call people back if they want. So that being said, what is your favorite / like death row meal, and what's your favorite way to eat a potato?
I would have to say my death row meal in Gastonia, North Carolina. There is a like mid-tier Japanese restaurant called Sake Express. I want the teriyaki steak combo, extra white sauce, and then a peanut butter fudge Reese's cup milkshake from Cookout.
And you know, I live because I think you're the first person that's actually given like, this is the place and I want it from here. You're not cooking me anything. And I live for that because
no, I love any and all Asian food. I am also a bit of a home chef myself. Fieri, okay? I do food. I do food as well. And yeah, I'm just happy to eat. Yeah, I love Asian though. That's got to be my fave. And then potato. There's so many. I make these really good like mini or Parmesan crispy potatoes. And I'll get like little baby potatoes. You boil them until they're tender. And then you put them on a baking sheet. You smush them with a pint glass, olive oil, garlic, parsley, whatever you want. Mix it all up. Parmesan. Throw it in the oven till it's crispy. Delicious.
I think you've now unlocked our most niche answer.
Yeah.
So you now hold the title. And I live.
I win.
Here's your gold star.
No, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for agreeing to sit down and just chit chat.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And if you want to plug your socials for everybody real quick as well.
Everything is at Thigh Fieri. Instagram. I really need to get on Blue Sky. I have an account. Facebook just gets Instagram reposted to it automatically. I don't do TikTok because I have a social media addiction.
Real. And it's for anybody listening, it's and correct me if I'm wrong when I'm saying this, it's THIGHFIERI.
Yep.
Okay. Work.
I like the one on your leg, Fieri like the one on the network.
Period.
And an X in the middle to separate the two.
Thank you so much for being here again. I don't know. I'm so excited to work with you at the end of this month because for anyone who's listening, we're filming in May. Yes. Hey, what time is it? Yeah. So
it's gonna be mine.
No, I'm hyped. This is gonna be so fun. Thank you so much for having me. And on this lovely Weepy Tuesday.
Oh yeah, it very is.
All right. Well, y'all be good. Stay safe. And I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you as well. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening or watching the Queer Vision today with Coe, me, and Thigh Fieri. It was a very fun conversation. We definitely enjoyed it, so I hope you did as well. Don't forget to like and follow Thigh on all social media platforms, and don't forget to check out our Queer Vision magazine with him in it. He is in our June issue, so Pride Month. Definitely don't forget to pick that up. It's going to be worth it. There's some amazing articles in there, and you'll get to see some pictures of Thigh. So I hope you have a really good day, and thanks again for watching.